Hey, fellow warriors. Welcome to the Ezer Mindset podcast with your host, Altamise Nicole. She's an award-winning founder to the Ezer Agency, a philanthropist, mother, daughter, and friend. Here with the Ezer Mindset podcast, we cultivate a safe space and community to be inspired by women worldwide that strive to be the best version of themselves boldly, softly, and unapologetically. And Ezer is a warrior created to help. So let's begin to help one another in family, fun, faith, life, and love.
Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining the Ezer Mindset podcast, where we speak on all things resilience, all things greatness, all things tenacity when it comes to building the Ezer mindset, which is truly just the mindset of a warrior. It's the mindset of a strong yet soft, beautiful, resilient woman. So today on this podcast, we have the amazing Gloria Ward. She and I have been connected for about 3.5, almost 4 years now. And she is absolutely one of the people that you need to be following if you have never heard of her. She is a serial entrepreneur, the author of Becoming Truly You, and the CEO and founder of the I'm Loving Me project, Girls Leap. She has an investment firm. She is just doing all of the things to impact women around the world. And it is such an honor. It is such a pleasure to be in her presence today and speak to her and learn more about her journey and share that with you all. So Gloria, thank you. Thank you so much for joining.
I want to say congratulations to you. You know, here's another stepping stone for you in your business and how you can just impact the world doing what you're doing and, you know, putting your gifts and talents out there. So, you know, thank you for allowing me to be a guest.
Oh, of course, of course. So we're just going to dive right in. You have a lot of amazing gems and insights, so I want to make sure our audience gets to those beautiful nuggets. So tell us about the heart behind the passion of what you do, and what sparked your journey toward inspiring women around the world to become a better version of themselves.
You know, it changed so much over time. And I guess that's because of phases of life that I was in, right? In the beginning, it was more about making sure that I was able to write my own ticket and do something with my life because of the way I grew up, right? I grew up with my grandmother. There were 6 of us. My mom died of AIDS when I was 7 years old. So, you know, I tell people she loved me and she loved us, but she really wanted to have her own life because she just got through finished raising 11 children, right? And taking on another 6 kids was something that wasn't in her plans, but she did it because. And during that time, it was more about, like, come on, I need to show you how to live. I need to show you how to survive because I'm not always going to be here, right? You need to figure out what you need to do so you can have your place in life. But one of the things that she used to say is, you know, you need to get your education. Your education is the way that you can write your own ticket in life. If you don't want to end up like what you see, if you don't want to be around what you're around, then go and get that education and make it happen for yourself so you can get out of here. So you're saying, where's here? So I grew up in the Bronx, New York, during, you know, late 70s, early 80s, 90s. And it's a lot of violence. It was the crack era. It was all this stuff. But at the same time, out to me, you know, we did have fun, right? We really didn't know that we were poor or broke or whatever it was, right? We had this sense of community. We had, you know, this sense of family where, you know, we still was allowed to be kids as much as we could be. but we had a mission. It wasn't like we could really have time to do those things that kids would do, right? You probably don't learn to cook until you 13. I was 7, right? You probably don't travel until your parents feel like you're okay enough to travel. I was traveling since I was 9 years old, and really like traveling, going to pick up my sister from my aunt's house and bringing her back, and doing all these things. And then there's no technology or cell phone, right? So I had to call my aunt when I was on my way. My grandmother would look out the window, make sure I got on a bus. I would get on the bus and then get on the train, make it to my aunt's house, call back home to say that I made it, get my little sister, get back and travel. My grandmother would look out the window to make sure that I got off the bus, and then I would come home. That was our way. And I'm 9 years old, 8 years old, right?
Wow.
And I'm traveling with grown people. I'm cooking like a grown person, because this was her way of knowing how to teach us how to survive. So when I would go to school, a lot of the teachers and everything would, nurture me. I was a pretty good kid, right? And they would always say, like, Gloria, this is, you can do this. You can have a better life. You can have this. I don't even know all of what was going on where they were saying the same thing. I guess they felt like because where they were teaching, right?
Yeah.
To give back, right? But the thing is I believed it. Right? I believed it. I believed that, I can have a better life of what that was. And the only way that what was a better life for me at the time, and I know you guys are going to laugh, was eating McDonald's, because we couldn't eat McDonald's. Wow. A better life was going ice skating, right? Or driving in a car somewhere, right? Or having my own apartment. That was a better life then. Yeah. And so if you had those things, you were great, right? And if education was the way to get those things, that's what I was drawn to. And that's what was in my head. But as time went on, and, I went through school and I got to high school, that's when things really started to change. Because in high school, it was like a family, and we're still like very close today in high school, all of my teachers and everything, because, my teachers were our age or younger, so their experience was, man, you go to college, you could do this. And when when you go to college, you can have this life, right? So now it changes. It's like, wow, well, Grandma told me I could write my own ticket, but her idea of that is just making sure you could get a job in an apartment and you can eat out.
Right.
Yep. More than once a month, right?
Right. Yeah.
And then it became like, no, it's this whole different life. You get the opportunity to go away. You get the opportunity to grow and explore and become this woman. And it's like, wow, well, what is that? What is that? And then they introduced us to that. That's the thing where, I went to Israel and I was able to, travel and see other people in the world. And I was like, wow, there's so much more to this. Okay, if college is the way, then let me go there, because I didn't want to be like my environment, where it was always in my head, don't get pregnant, don't do this, you got to stay on the right path, because that is not considered to be the right path, which I'm gonna tell you how that's linked later, right?
Okay.
And so I leave. My grandmother didn't want me to leave. Her idea, remember, was get a job. Get a good city job too. If you get a good city job, you're good, right?
Yeah.
But get a job, get a place, and you made it. And I was like, no, but they told me if I go to college, I can really be somebody. Like, I can I can be someone on TV. And then she said, well, why do you want to do that? Because I still need you here to help me with these kids. And I'm like, I thought I thought this is what you wanted. It's like, yeah, but you're trying to leave and go away. Yeah. And part of that, Altamise, I believe, is that she didn't want me to get my heart broken because she knew that she couldn't afford to send me to school.
Yeah. Yeah.
And there was a lot of challenges with that. But at the same time, she already felt like she was stuck with 6 kids. And now my older sister left, my brother left, and here I am trying to leave. But that was the whole deal in the beginning, right? That's what I was telling her. You're actually doing your job, right? But she's like, now you want to leave me with these kids, and who's going to help me? I'm like, these kids are grown. And so anyway, I come to school, I come to Atlanta by myself with one big green bag. And I said, this is what I'm going to do. Like, if they say school is the way, then let me go ahead and learn everything that I need to learn to go ahead and make it here. And I came to Atlanta in 1997, and I haven't looked back. I graduated. I got 2 degrees, and I figured out during that time more of myself about what I wanted in entrepreneurship. So I got offered a lot of jobs because I have a master's in computer science, and I said no to all of them, and I betted on myself to become an entrepreneur. And that's when life really got interesting.
Oh yeah.
That's when life really got interesting. So like I said, it changed over time, because by that time it was more about, okay, now you're betting on yourself. Are you sure? And now you're married, right? Which we would get into.
That part.
Yeah, it changed all the time. It changed.
So that's powerful. And one of the things that stood out to me is how you mentioned your grandmother. She taught you survival. She taught you how to survive through life, right? Yeah. But over time, we've learned that survival mindset can only get you but so far. It can only get you but so far. So how did you, number one, identify that you and at no fault of your grandmother, because we have to acknowledge that generations before us, they had to have the survival mindset. That was that wasn't an option. Right? A lot of our parents, a lot of their parents, they weren't nurturing because they couldn't be. Their job was to make sure you stayed alive just in case you got sold to another master. So make sure you teach the child how to do X, Y, and Z. Worry about that nurturing later because they need to survive. Right. So it's definitely not at the fault of our parents and their parents. But now here we are, 2022.
Yeah.
With the internet.
Yeah.
In the information era.
Yeah.
And literally resources, they're at our fingertips. And we can truly make any life that we desire. And all we have to do is make sure that we have the right mindset. How did you shift? Tell us about that shifting process for you.
I had to go through a process because, again, growing up, it's like that saying, growing up with a survival mindset, love is really not in the picture.
Right.
You only know of love. Somebody loves you because they kind of, give you what you need when you need it.
Right.
But when you grow up with a survival mindset, you're taught not to ask for anything. don't really get into a lot of stuff. Mind your business, focus on what you are doing, and don't worry about what other people are doing. Don't worry about what they thinking. Just focus on where you're going, because the only thing that matters is you and where and what you're doing. And so with that, having that same mentality, but being a very social person, because my family is very social. I'm very social. I got married and discovered that mindset wasn't the mindset that I should have brought into the marriage, but it was all I knew, right? Because I was very independent, and like I said before in other interviews, I could not call my mother-in-law mom, right? I couldn't call my father-in-law dad, because they were not that, right? Like, I wanted to do what I wanted to do. I didn't know the concept of going to family reunions and being around people. I only was around people I wanted to be around.
Right.
I didn't, I wasn't used to, seeing aunt such and such and this person and the women sit in one room and the men sit in another room, and all this stuff was new to me, right? So Gloria did what she wanted to do. When they say, "Oh, Gloria, come on, let's go and go to the store and go get auntie such and such or something," I'm like, "No, that's okay. I'll stay here." But it wasn't the fact of going to the store that was the bonding session, right?
Yeah.
That I know now. But I was like, no, because I didn't want to go. In my head, I'm okay where I am, right?
Yeah.
And, my husband at the time, he would say, "My mom is asking you to go because she's trying to connect with you." And I'm like, oh, but, why she didn't say that? Because I'm so used to say what you mean and mean what you say. Right? Because you got to be straight up with me. Like, I don't get no clues, or, I done asked her 2 times in a nice way. Well, nice for me is doing something that you really don't want to do. That's what nice means to me, but you're doing it anyway, right? So when you saying you're being nice to me, you really don't want to do this, but you're doing it because either somebody told you or you just being polite, where I'm like, I don't need that, right? And that's what I felt. So I'm like, no, I don't want to take any of your advances. I really don't want to do this. And he's like, what's wrong with you? Right. And I'm like, I don't know. I'm like, I don't know. I just don't. To me, it was fake. Does that make sense? Like,
it does.
It wasn't authentic. And it could have been out to me that that's just the way, some families are, and probably a way in which there's another side of showing love, but I couldn't get that. Right? Because I was always used to, and kind of still used to, hey, Gloria, we're going to go and do XYZ. You're not going to like it. You could come if you want. If you want to come, don't get mad because you made a choice. And I'm like, okay, I have a decision to make, right? But I felt like I was lured in, like, oh, let's go to the store, but the store turned into a conversation about something, and I'm like, well, you set me up.
Yeah. Right.
But that was probably their way. I don't know. But I just felt like that wasn't for me, and it wasn't authentic. So it was kind of hard to bond. So I would never call to check in. I wouldn't do anything. And, one of the things that my ex-husband says is, I never liked the way you treated my mother. And I'm like, what you mean? How did I treat her? So I had to learn, like, this survival mindset. You're missing a lot of things. And what you're missing is how looking at how other people love and how other people express themselves, because it's just not your way or one way, right? And then learning how to allow other people to come into your circle. Because honestly, growing up with survival and someone teaching you how to survive, I've never really grew up with a mother. So I don't know what mothers do. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I don't know what mothers do. I don't know if it's that was the way to get the child to be open. I don't know any of that.
Yeah.
All I know is what I know. I've been around grown people my whole life, so I'm used to straight shooting. And so it was very hard to relate to that, right? But I could go out to meet very quickly and go to a friend's house whose parents were there, who were straight shooters. And I never said this, I could call them mom and dad all day long. Because I was used to that.
Wow. So that brings, so that brings, that's kind of powerful. That's your comfort place. Your comfort.
And I didn't know until after I got divorced, to answer your question, how to make that shift, because in my marriage I couldn't, because I thought that was being fake. That wasn't being authentic. I was still pulling to what I knew, right?
Yeah.
And I wanted the love and I wanted all of that, but I thought it wasn't authentic. I thought you was gonna lure me again into something that I didn't want to do, right? When I remember one time, and I remember this like it was yesterday, where we had went down to South Carolina for Thanksgiving, my ex-husband and I, and the mom said she was gonna cook. So the mom is in the kitchen and she's cooking, and I'm, I got the TV on and all this stuff or whatever, right? And she's like getting frustrated and called the husband in to help her chop the onions and all this stuff, And you didn't ask for my help. You wanted me to ask you.
Right.
Where I already said no. I said no, but you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You wanted my help, and she's just banging on the stuff and getting all upset and everything. And it clicked. And I was like, but I didn't want to do it. So that's the thing. When you are in that mode of growing up with survival and learning that your words are your words and what you say is what you say, my words mean no. Yeah. But that's hard to take, where it comes off as not being sensitive, right? And not being...
But Glo, that's a beautiful thing, because a lot of women have they have the opposite issue, where they think, hell no, I don't want to do that. And they still go do that with a pleasant smile on their face to say, okay. So in some ways, that's a gift that you have.
It's because it's hard for me to fake. It's hard for me to say that I like something when I really don't. Yeah. It is, and I think that's what made me really drawn to entrepreneurship, is because of that, right? And so to understand and to get out of this mindset, I had to go through a lot of things. I had to get divorced, right? I had to get some jobs and lose some jobs, because I had to figure out that even though you work hard, it doesn't mean that you're going to be rewarded, right?
Yep, absolutely.
And when I decided to be an entrepreneur and I was married, my husband was like, why don't you just get a job? This is not working. You're not making enough money to take care of stuff. You're putting us in debt. I can't do this by myself. And I was like, this is what I want. I know I can do this. Right? You're asking me to do something I don't want to do. When I tried it, I got fired.
Right.
Because it is either all or nothing.
Right.
Because that's how I was programmed. You get it?
Yeah.
So it was hard to understand that, oh, you make sacrifices for the people that you love. And if I'm asking you, Gloria, like, we're about to lose everything to do this for me, why are you not doing it? And in my head, I'm like, I am. I'm busting my ass every day, learning, doing, on the phone, looking for clients, asking for business, doing all this stuff. I'm doing it. But the mindsets were different, where it's like, no, the job is what I'm asking you to get, because that's where the security is. And I'm like, that's not where the security is. To me, it's here, and it is holding out just a little bit longer. And it was like, I can't do this. I can't hold out for you no more, Gloria. I don't like the way you treat my mom. You're an okay entrepreneur, but I can't be with someone who feels like they don't want to compromise. You get what I'm saying? But on the other end of that, I can understand it now. Yeah. Right? I can understand it now, because what I learned is, and what your audience will see, is that entrepreneurship is very lonely. The mindset that you need to have defies all the things that society is going to tell you that you can have, that you can do, and what you can be. You know, even the people that you love, that is the closest to you, who is going to say these words and tell you, why are you wasting your time and all that stuff. I need you to hear me. Everybody who's listening, they love you. They love you. They want the best for you. They believe that they are telling you the right thing. And the only reason why they're saying what they're saying is because that's all they know. Hear me, that's all they know. But you know what you feel, and you know what you want to accomplish and what's going to make you happy. And that is the place where you have to make a decision. That's when you're between a rock and a hard place. And that's when you have to make a decision to bet on yourself or go with what they say. Right? Or go with what they say. And I decided to leave. And I decided to bet on myself. And in doing that, it was crazy. I went through drinking, DUIs, jail, all this stuff, because I had to break all of me down, because there was more to that. I never lived alone in my life. There were 6 of us in the house, 5 of us, aunts, uncles, there was always somebody there, right? To go from that to a 1-bedroom apartment with a dog, then 2 dogs, that's traumatic within itself.
Right. Yeah.
Because you're lonely. Then going to jail, back and forth, getting DUIs, messed up my car to the point where I had to go get a job because I needed to buy a car. When I went for my apartment out to meet with me and my husband finally split, and they pulled my credit, my shit was blank.
What?
I had nothing on my credit report because I never had to use it for nothing, right?
Girl.
So I had to pay all this money to
Oh
like get into my
man.
apartment and everything because I didn't have
Yeah.
it, right? So that was the next journey of my life, figuring out who was Gloria in this whole thing because I grew up with my grandmother, learned survival. I got married, learn a little bit more about myself and how to be and how to stretch and what it means to compromise, right?
Right.
And then figuring out what was more important to me, and that was betting on myself. But betting on myself in my case took giving up everything
Yes.
and
Yes.
starting my life over again. That's what it took for me. It might not be that way for you and your audience, but it took giving up everything and starting my life over again in an apartment by myself with 2 dogs, right?
But Gloria, that you bring up a beautiful, honest point, and I want everyone to hear this. Hear this. Everybody talks about that mindset shift, and it sounds beautiful. When you see somebody going through it, it looks beautiful. It looks great. That hurts.
Oh, it's ugly.
It hurts ridiculously. And you have to, it's like a pruning. It's like cutting pieces off because you have to unlearn what you've learned for years.
Yeah.
And depending upon how old you are, how deep your habits are, you got to go deep into that thing where you got to literally be by yourself in your room with nothing but tears, pen, paper, and prayers to be like, what in the world is going on? And go ahead.
I gotta tell you, when I wrecked my car because I was in a DUI accident and I thought I hurt somebody, and I had to go get a job, and I was at this job out to me. They was paying me like $1,000 every 2 weeks, so $2,000 a month. My rent was like $1,390 at the time. And then I just had a little bit of money left for like bills. There was no gas money, no nothing, right? And that was the time where I needed this job. Well, at least at that time, the mindset was I needed this job because of everything that I was going through, the divorce, the messing up, the drinking and everything. I thought I was having fun and living my life and doing all this stuff. But I was really putting myself in a situation where I didn't admit to myself that I was afraid to go through this transition because it was very lonely. And then 2, I really didn't know who I was. I knew my capabilities. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yep.
I knew my boundaries. I knew my capabilities. But I really didn't know who I was. And so one day I'm getting up and it's time to go to this job and I needed to be there at 8:30. And at first I used to leave. I tell people I used to leave at 2 or 3 and they like, why are you leaving so early? And I'm like, I'm finished with my work. Why do I have to stay? And they like, you gotta stay till 5. I'm like, 5 o'clock. I'm like, wait a minute.
Like, what we doing till 5? I said, I'm done.
Like, I finished all my work. What am I going to do sitting here? So I would bring my computer, look at Bloomberg, do all this, and figure out what it is that I wanted to do because I would finish all my work and then just be sitting there and they would get so bothered by that. But I'm like, I was making you money, so you really didn't say anything, right?
Right.
And when I was looking in that mirror, I was like, Gloria, what is it that you want for yourself? What is it that you want? And in me, out to me, so I was like, I know that I'm a good entrepreneur and I want to be an entrepreneur. I know I can do this thing. I know that I can help people in some way or fashion. I know that anything that I put my mind to, I can do. I know that. I don't know why I can't get myself over this hump. Why is it always something in my way where I feel like I'm always failing? Right? Why can't I get through this? I'm doing the affirmations. I'm writing in the journal. I'm reading the books. I'm doing all that stuff. And I tell you, and I'm looking at myself in the mirror because I'm like, I know this is not my life. I am not meant to be at this place doing what I'm doing for $2,000 a month with a master's degree in computer science. With this. And it was just so easy where it's like that, where, Gloria, you got the skills. You already did it before. Go take a chance on yourself. Why did you revert back to what people said you should do and how you should be, and a job is the way to go, and that's not you. That's not you. In order for you to fully walk into everything you want, you gotta love yourself enough. You gotta love yourself enough. And that's when I looked in that mirror and I said, do I really love me enough to bet on me one more time? Because now it's just me.
Right.
You get what I'm saying? There's nothing holding me back, right? It's just me, right? And when I said, okay, I need to love me. I need to love me. And I started that journey, girl. And let me tell you what that looks like, because a lot of people say that. But the journey to loving yourself is not only betting on yourself, but it is putting in the work into figuring out those deep things that you know you need to clean up. So I needed to take drug and alcohol treatment, right?
Yeah.
I'm like, that shit ain't for me. I don't need that. You only giving it to me because I got the DUI, right?
Right.
So that shit ain't for me. You know, it comes with the package, right?
Right.
And so I'm like, I'm not an alcoholic. Even though I'm drinking a half a bottle of vodka a day, I'm not an alcoholic. I got, I'm chill, right?
Right.
Because that's the things we tell ourselves, right?
Right. Yep. Yep.
So I get in the class, and it's so funny. The lady that I had, Miss Jackie, I don't know if you guys saw her before. You know, she gave out this paper and she said, we're going to go through this exercise because we need to talk about depression. And she said, it's all types of depression that people think they have, right? And so when she got to situational depression, right? And she was running down the symptoms, my ass is checking. And so she was like, does anybody got something to say? I said, I got all this. I got all of this. And she was like, I know, that's why you here. I was like, now what is this? You know, I was like, now what is this? And she said, you know, the situations that come into your life, things that happen to you that is meant to shift you, temporarily puts you in this state where you come to a crossroad. Yes. And that's when I start crying, because I was like, I needed to understand what I was feeling, right? Yep. And the situational depression is the things that are going on in your life is affecting you so much where you either do nothing or you just revert back to what you know, but you go through this cycle of being up and down and up and down, and you feel yourself spiraling out. That's where the drinking came from. That's why you going to jail. That's why you doing all these things, because really you're sad. You don't like your life, right? And because you're sad and you don't like your life, you taking yourself in these up and down spirals. And she said, the thing with you, Gloria, though, is that you knew how to tell yourself to make a decision to do something different. A lot of people don't get that opportunity, and they don't have that type of self-awareness, where they usually spiral out of control and it goes into full-blown depression.
Right.
But you had that awareness to understand that where you were, first of all, you're checking off the boxes, and now let me teach you how you get out of that. And then I started to take those things seriously. Well, I was like, well, damn, let me learn more about myself and how to love myself more. Right? And then that's where I learned about the seasons of life, which I teach now, right?
Yes.
That's how I learned about confidence, right? That's how I learned about ants in your mind and the ant therapy that I teach now, because all those things come from experience. Because everybody who's listening to this podcast, understand that when you are an entrepreneur and you are pushing yourself to achieve your goals, you are still battling with yourself.
Yes.
Not with outside people, with yourself. You are battling with your self-esteem. You are battling with your self-identity. You are battling with how you feel about the things that happen to you and what's inside of you. And it is growing or stopping your success. And the only way that you can get over that hump to truly focus on your goals and to accomplish your goals is that you recognize those things and you make a conscious decision to continue to move forward, because they don't go away. My whole thing of a survival mindset is not going away.
Yeah.
That's just what it is. But I know when I'm in it, and when it serves me, I use it. And when it doesn't, I let it go.
Yes.
I know how to be a little bit more compassionate now and listen to someone and figure out what their needs are, right?
Yeah.
Before I couldn't hear you, right? And now I know what that means. It's not because I was being a bitch. It's because that's all I knew.
Yeah. And I think too, I don't want anyone to miss the fact that Gloria had Miss Jackie in her life to gently expose her to the reality of that pivotal moment of, oh, this is what it is.
Yep.
And I think that speaks to the importance of having a community, right?
Yeah.
And being able to understand that, yes, from a entrepreneurial perspective, there are going to be certain things, certain seasons that it will be you. It will be you and God going through that thing. But there's also going to be people that he strategically places along the journey to help you to identify, to reassess,
Correct.
and to move.
Correct.
And you can't dismiss those people. You can't dismiss those experiences, those moments where it's literally a God moment where that person comes in right on time to be like, go this way.
Yep.
I don't want you to miss that, right? Because we get in this place where we be like, I could do it by myself. I don't need nobody. I don't want nobody. I don't need no help. I could do this. And then it closes off. It closes off the blessing.
Absolutely.
It closes off the blessing of realizing that things can, like people, God uses people. He uses people. And it's a important piece of the puzzle as you're building and as you're growing in life. And I think I just don't want y'all to miss that part. I don't want you to miss it, right? Because
and the other big piece is knowing that when your hands are always closed, you cannot let anything in, right?
Yes.
You have to be able to open yourself up to let the things in that you need. Now, that does mean that you do need discernment. You do need to have boundaries. You do need to know how to make good calculated risk. And the only way that you get that type of knowledge and you get that type of information is if you get a coach, is if you get someone who's ahead of you that has been there, that can tell you those things you need to know because they've been there.
Yes.
And that's another thing that I needed to get over, is the fact that a lot of us entrepreneurs believe we can't afford anything. We need to be able to do stuff by ourselves. And if we did have the money to get the help, then we would get the help. Well, I tell them all the time, you could find money to do whatever it is that you want to do. Find the money to invest in yourself and invest in your dream, because this is what you said you wanted. This is what you're sweating for, right? This is what you putting all those hours in for, right? If you want to be able to have that life and to build that business and to do everything, you got to be able to shift your mind and know. You know, when we was talking before, I told you my job is to make sure that I am out here doing the best for myself and my team, right?
Yes.
To be that front face, to do what I need to do to make sure that this company can move forward, right? And in order to do that, I have to be able to be open enough, vulnerable enough, put myself out there to find the best opportunities to grow this team and this business. Because at the end of the day, it's about helping the next woman
Yes.
be her authentic and true self. And I made that commitment. So what does that look like? I can't go out here and have my hands closed and say, I'm not going to do this and I can't do this, but I'm preaching to you that you should, right?
Yep.
Again, to me, that's considered to be fake, right? To me, I'm not being my
Facts.
authentic self. I don't tell you anything that I cannot do. That's why I say relationships, don't ask me. I don't know. Don't ask me. I don't know. I'm still working on that, right? I'm watching matchmaking things on Netflix to try to get some. Okay. Other than that, no. But I will tell you what I know, because why? As being a coach and being a mentor, my job, when you choose me, is to tell you what's coming and to show you how you avoid those bumps and things that I had to go through, and to give you that path to success. Now, listen, I didn't say shortcut. Because it's not a shortcut, because you have to go through the forest and learn how to fight the lions and tigers and bears on your own, because everybody's style of fighting is different and you have to find your own. My job is to tell you, there's a bear over there. There's a lion over there. That's where your pot of gold is. Once you walk through these fields, you already know what's coming. What are you going to do to get to the pot of gold? That is a decision you have to make.
Yes.
And you have to walk through that journey, right?
Yep.
Because once you do and once you learn, nobody can take it away from you. Nobody. So that's why I can quit a job and build a business and everything, because I put those hours in. Everything could be taken away from me. I know how to survive. That was taught to me.
Yes.
I know how to keep a roof over my head. I know how to keep food in my belly. That's my survival tactics. And now another layer of that is I know how to build a business. I know how to talk to people. I know how to socialize. So that's another layer that I learned.
Yes.
And that is something nobody can take away from you.
Yes.
It takes time, but it's worth it. But the main thing that I would tell your audience is that you got to be able to bet on yourself. Know that you are the most important person in the world and you carry yourself around every day. Why don't you give yourself the best? Why wouldn't you put the effort into yourself? Why wouldn't you invest in yourself? Why wouldn't you get the help you need to move your business forward? Why wouldn't you take the time to learn the skills you need to learn to better yourself in your career? And the answer is not because you're stupid, you don't know, you don't have time and all that. Those are exactly what it is, excuses.
Yep.
It's because you haven't looked in that mirror to really give yourself a chance to love yourself enough to take the risk. And that's where it starts.
That's literally, I was going to ask you, our closing remarks would be you speaking to the heart of that woman who's literally at that crossroad, right? And I feel like that's a part of what you just did, and just encouraging her to just make that leap. Is there anything else, if you had an opportunity to just look her in her face and she's at that point where stuff that used to work ain't working no more, she knows something is greater, she don't have any idea how to get there, she doesn't know what to do, and she's just there, and she's craving knowing that she is meant and called for greater, what would you tell her?
Honey, you feel it, and you know it. God already put it in you. Go and take one step and see God take two. And what does that mean? Because when people say that, it sounds airy-fairy. But if you just step out and you know this is what you want to do, and you just go get that business license, once you go tell everybody, somebody's going to come along and buy one thing from you. And once that person comes and buy one thing from you, then that person's going to tell another person. And then you got 2 or 3 people buying from you. And then once you got 2 or 3 people buying from you, then your website gets created. And then you taking orders online. And then you traveling around delivering orders. And then you got yourself a car. And then you got yourself a truck. That's what betting on yourself looks like. It is not this airy-fairy thing where something is going to come out the sky and you're going to have everything. When you bet on yourself and that journey starts to happen, if you take one step, God will take 2. And just remember that you are going to find yourself along the way. Don't be afraid of what you see. Don't be afraid of what you see. You're going to see yourself as vulnerable. You're going to feel like you're inadequate. You're going to feel like you're not working hard enough. You're going to feel like you don't fit in. You're going to feel like you're in environments where you don't belong. This is your dream, not theirs. This is your dream. Everything that you are pushing and working towards, it will work if you work it. So you have to be able to figure out how to battle the ants that are in your head, because that's the only person that you're battling with is yourself. And if you can do that and go through the journey, I promise you, you'll make it. I promise you. And that's exactly what I would tell her.
Whew. I love it. I love it. Thank you. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much for your time,
Absolutely.
for your wisdom, for your insight, and just for sharing your journey. So, Gloria, tell everybody where they can find you and where they can connect with you.
Please go to our Instagram and our Facebook. It's the I'm Loving Me Project. And go to our website, imlovingme.net. And you can see all the programs that we have. We have a wonderful program going on right now. The Seasons of Life is actually closed, but you can get on the waiting list. We are working on our inner circle, and we have a slew of events that we have coming up. We have a holiday gala coming up here in Atlanta where we're just going to love on each other, enjoy each other, and hang out with each other. And it's a sisterhood, because what we know for sure, and you know this too, Altamise, when you walk in this journey, you need that love, you need that community, you need that opportunity for someone to, be straight with you and tell you the truth. but also give you those pointers that you need and give you those reminders where you can go and say, damn, I need to work on these ants, because the reason why I'm not moving forward is because I'm not focused. I can't get myself together. So that's what the I'm Loving Me project is about, reminding you to love yourself first.
Yes. Well, thank you again. Everybody, please go follow Gloria and the I'm Loving Me project. And remember that you are enough. You are enough. You were designed and created as a warrior. You are resilient. You are strong. You are powerful. You are beautiful. You are soft. You are exactly who you are supposed to be as you are in this moment. So thank you so much for joining us. And thank you, Gloria, for being here. And we will catch you on the next episode.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
We hope you enjoyed this podcast episode of the Ezer Mindset Podcast. Be sure to subscribe to stay connected and in the know of all upcoming inspiring conversations with Altamise Nicole and inspiring women from all around the world. Until next time, stay soft and fearless, Queen.